Hello, citizens of YouTube. I am the Amazing Atheist, and this is my wonderful show where I do magic tricks. Voice. There you go. Of the Americans who have heard of the new Arizona immigration law, 51% are in favor, and 39% are opposed, and I guess the remaining 10% just don't give a fuck. This reminds me of something that my friend Case once told me a long time ago, back when everyone was gay for Obama. Remember that? Change and hope and, giant crowds of people, yes we can, yes we can. Yeah, we all remember that. Anyway, back then, my friend Case said to me, change doesn't come from the top down, it comes from the bottom up. And I know he's not the, originator of that sentiment or that quote or whatever, but he's the first person I heard it from, so I'm giving him credit. And it kind of occurs to me that when people are talking about that, they're really talking about positive change. They say, when the people down at the bottom, they say, we demand change, and then they elect a new city councilman, and the city councilman changes things in a little incremental way, and then, it's up from there, city council, Congress, then Senate, and then, up in the White House. And once we have this structure of change built, that's when stuff really changes. Or, the citizenry just gets pissed and holds a bloody revolution, and then things change in one fell swoop. That's what our founding fathers did, don't knock it. But it occurs to me that if that's how positive change comes about, that's also how negative change comes about. We always think of fascism as some guy who gets in control, he gets in at that top rung, and then he showers changes down on the people, but that's not really how it works. And for an example of that, let's just look at Nazi Germany. And I know I'm violating Godwin's law or whatever, fuck Godwin, he's a dumbass. To understand the rise of Nazis in Germany, the first thing you have to understand is that World War I took place from 1914 to 1918. Then in 1919, there was this thing called the Treaty of Versailles, this hideously unfair document that basically said that Germany had to take full responsibility for World War I, and they had to pay reparations to all of these other nations that were affected by the war that they caused. Then in 1921, countries started demanding even more reparations. They said the reparations in the Treaty of Versailles weren't good enough, and they demanded more, which led the German government to just kind of print money willy-nilly so that they could pay all of these debts. They printed so much money that from 1921 to 1923, the German market was saturated with all of this money which had nothing to back it up. And so there was massive hyperinflation. And this hyperinflation led to economic collapse. Now something else happened in 1921. In 1921, Adolf Hitler became the head of the Nazi Party. You see, in 1920, the Nazi Party had under 60 members. Because of Hitler's oratory skills and because of the crumbling economy of Germany, Hitler was able to get hundreds of thousands of members for the Nazi Party by the end of the 1920s. And by 1934, Hitler was able to seize power over Germany. And I think we all know what he did from there. Now, why was Hitler able to seize power? What enabled him to do so? What was his platform? Well, you see, the German people felt like they shouldn't have lost World War I. They felt like their army was still strong because they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So when they signed the Treaty of Versailles, the German people looked for a scapegoat. They looked for someone that they could blame for the fact that their army had surrendered prematurely. And the scapegoat was easy. The scapegoat was the Jews and the Gypsies and all of these foreigners who had come into their country. Similarly, the economic collapse that took place from 1921 to 1923, they blamed that on the Jews as well. So what was Hitler's platform? It was basically, fuck the Jews. We gotta get rid of these Jews. We gotta make Germany pure. Because they are the ones who are fucking us up. They're the ones who are making us sign these bullshit treaties. They're the ones who are raping our economy. We gotta get rid of them. So folks, the pattern is this. War, followed by economic decline. followed by scapegoating a minority, followed by the rise of a formerly obscure political sect characterized by racism, xenophobia, and isolationism. And we've got all of it, folks. We got war. In fact, we got two wars. We got a war in Iraq and a war in Afghanistan, and probably coming soon, a war in Pakistan. Yippee! We got economic decline, huge joblessness rate, the banking industry nearly collapsed, the housing market is in the shitter, everything is going wrong. Scapegoating a minority, we've got that too, check. How many conservatives will tell you that the reason America's really in decline is because we've got too many illegal immigrants coming over here siphoning away our resources? I just read an article today that said that the major GOP strategy for winning this next election is to seize the immigration issue. They want to make the next election about illegal immigration. Do we have the rise of a formerly obscure political party characterized by racism, xenophobia, and isolationism? Yes, we do. We have the Tea Party protesters. We have the rise of a new political power here in America. Now, am I saying for a second that the U.S. is on the path to becoming Nazi Germany? No. Because as bad as the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are, they're no World War I. And as bad as our economic decline is, it's not anywhere near as bad as the economic collapse that Germany suffered due to the hyperinflation of the early 1920s. And as much as we scapegoat illegal immigrants, we don't do it nearly as bad as the Germans scapegoated the Jews in the 1920s and 30s. And as bad and stupid as the Tea Party is, it's nowhere near as bad as the Nazi Party. So what does this mean for America? Well, it probably means that we're going to get a leader that's almost as bad as Adolf Hitler. But don't worry, our Holocaust won't be nearly as bad as the one that the Germans had in the 30s and 40s. We'll just have a little tiny Holocaust, maybe 1 million killed, that's it. By the way, folks, I have posted part 1 of my review of the Phantom Menace on thatguywiththeglasses.com. You can check it out below. Also, be sure to tune in tomorrow for part 1 of my interview with super genius Howard Blum, the author of such books as The Lucifer Principle, Global Brain, and The Genius of the Beast. It's going to be awesome. Be sure to tune in. Love you, folks. Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.